We're going to talk about The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 6, Kin.
You know what?
A little...
I think I figured out why you guys like this show. I don't not so much more than I do.
You okay,
To
Dave?
me, it's
Do you need an absolutely?
Yeah. Can I get an absolutely?
Absolutely. I'll be right back.
Answer one question first, Doug.
Okay. I'm
Did you
listening.
Did you watch The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Okay. To me, it's like Walking Dead 2.0. It's like the cheap man's man, the poor man's Walking Dead. To me, it's like it's already been done, and that's why. Attack on Show's leaving because he hasn't seen the episode yet. Well, thanks for stopping by. Yeah. To me, it's like I've already seen all this stuff, and it's why it's not new
I saw it all
groundbreaking.
in other movies before The Walking Dead too. They weren't the first to do it either.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I've enjoyed a show that was new to me, and about zombies, and it was very similar to this. So the reason I'm not enjoying this as much as you guys are is because to me it seems like old hat, like it's already been done. That's a theory. That's my theory. That being said, go ahead, Keith, if you had a comment.
I was just going to tell you, Tundra Walker didn't join us tonight because he hasn't seen Quantumania yet. So he texted me and said, hey, I'm not going to be there tonight. He said, I hope you enjoyed, or he said, I enjoyed this episode of The Last of Us a little bit more, but it was still a total Walking Dead episode. So I think there is some credence to your theory that, if you've watched The Walking Dead, a lot of this has maybe been done before in a show you like. Not that this isn't being done well, but it's kind of
that's what I'm trying
seemingly
to
the
say.
same.
And this episode, you know how you mentioned last week
What
about
did? Wait a second. What is going on over there?
he's
Don't look at
gathering
me.
the tins.
Keep talking.
That's the Harley Quinn tin.
No, that's Quantumania. I see Ant-Man in there.
What? Doug. Oh no.
We already
now
saw
it's
it.
time to make $1 billion.
We already saw the movie. It's okay now.
Yes, so help me. If this box office drops the second week by like 90%, we know why. It's the tin
your
sitting
fault.
on Doug's shelf.
I had to.
But last week you were saying how great Pedro Pascal's acting was, and I thought this. I don't like using these terms because I really don't fully understand them, but I think
I do that all the time.
Tour de force. I thought he did a great job this episode. I thought that was excellent acting, and on the other hand, I thought Ellie did terrible. I thought she did a terrible job acting this show. And
The scene with his brother, where he's telling that he should take her, was freaking.
Yes.
He should get an Emmy for that. That was outstanding. That whole scene was tremendous. And then the scene where he's talking to Ellie, and he's basically telling her, "Don't talk about my daughter. This is where it ends. You're not my daughter," and everything. I agree with you, Dave. I don't think Ellie did a bad job, or I think her name's Ramsey. I can't remember her name now. I don't think she did a bad job per se, but because Pedro Pascal is such a tremendous actor and such a present that she just seems overshadowed by it. Because man, I didn't think you were going to like this episode, Dave, because there was a little slowdown. They seem to go. They have these fast-paced sort of episodes, like with a bunch of this, and they kind of take it slow. Like you had the moments like when the dog was approaching Ellie, where you weren't really sure, and he even talked about it later in the episode, which was really well. And then you get to this town where, he's like, oh, communism. Everybody's happy. Yeah. And by the end of this episode, when he fell off the horse, and then, of course, in the previews for the next episode, they don't show him at all, which I still think he's not dead. God, I hope he's not dead, because honestly, if this was Pedro Pascal's last episode of The Last of Us, I got a feeling my rankings of the show is going to go way down. Because I can't imagine people carrying it like, I was jokingly talking about it Thursday night. that Not Your Status Quo is now a Jonathan Majors, Pedro Pascal Stan account. Because those two guys are freaking amazing.
To paraphrase another ex-coworker, they're knocking it out of the park right now.
God, don't say that. Now, and this is a big if they're going to follow the main plot of the game, which this episode was kind of a deviation from the game in several parts. But anyway, if they're going to follow the major plot of the game, then spoilers for everybody here. Spoilers for you, Keith, and you, Dave. If you don't want to hear this, cover your ears. But if they follow the main plot of the game, no, Joel is not dead yet.
Well, I covered my ears, but my earbuds were in it, so I heard it. I didn't think he was.
Didn't he say that he's filming season 2? So he'd have to be alive.
Flashbacks. Oh. I'm just kidding.
Again, I don't know. Like I said, they this episode, they had certain points from the game, certain things, but almost the entire episode was a deviation. So
now I don't
know. I really do not know what direction they're going to, take the show versus the game. Because, like, for instance, the Bill and what's his name, Bill and Frank, total change from the game.
Now, was the nice Indian couple? I'm sorry, Native American couple from that?
I do not remember them in the game at all.
I absolutely love that scene too.
Where
he's like, "You made him soup."
That's always absolutely. No, and that's the dude from Dances with Wolves. And that guy's been around forever.
But they were so nonchalant about these people being in their house with guns. Like, they were like...
How often must this kind of thing happen, though? Like, this has got to be, this is the second time that something like this has happened with Joel, where they basically, it's like every time they encounter another group of humans, it has to be prefaced with, I have a gun, you have a gun, and unless this goes smoothly and we all agree that we're going to speak amicably, we will shoot each other. Like, that's almost the expectation. Because he had the same kind of standoff with Henry and his brother.
Yeah. And the only time he really is when he's outnumbered, like when he got surrounded by those red communists at the commune where his brother was. He was really quick to be like, okay, I can't get out of this by shooting, so I'm going to have to talk my way out of it. And when he was talking later about, he didn't know what he was going to do. He felt that it was going to be the end, and that's why, he had that lack of confidence. Like, he can't do it. He's going to fail her like he failed his own daughter.
Feels like he slipped.
Let me start the timer. He was so worried he was going to lose someone else that he was frozen with fear. He must have.
He just got here, and that's the first thing he did.
And I was saying nice things about you, Tundra Walker. How you agreed with Dave again. And lo and behold, this is the thanks I get. There was another point I wanted to make, and now I forgot.
Because of your voice?
Because I'm doing this voice. Oh, yeah. When Elle steals the rabbit. And she's like, I should have taken 2. And Joel's like, we can shoot rabbits ourselves. And she was probably like,
she's becoming really terrible, I swear.
Yeah, you know what? When her her attitude, like when she was eating the dinner that somebody, for her first prepared meal in her whole life, and she's eating it, and she's doing nothing but give an attitude to, what was her name? His wife? I forget her name.
Was it Maria?
Maria, that's it. And she's just doing nothing but give an attitude to her. I thought maybe that was over the top because, like, even in that situation, somebody's being nice to you and giving you free food. You don't sit there and swear at them.
Well, it's like she's been hanging out with Joel for too long. She's starting to pick up too much of his personality, where she's like not trusting of anyone. And
still, you gotta keep that in your head when somebody's giving you free food. You know?
And Joel's reaction to his brother's pregnancy news. Oh, good luck with that. Even I was like, dude, that's not the way you do it.
Yeah,
But
that was
it
part
all
of
fits in his
nuanced
character.
performance. Yeah, he was
100%.
absolutely.
I needed that. Thank you, Dave. And even when Ellie and Tommy are getting ready to hang out and Joel's there, I love that it wasn't just like, yeah, I decided to go with you. He was like, I came here to steal a horse and get out of here. And I decided it's her thoughts. I really like that he's growing a little bit too. He's realizing that the mistakes he made with his daughter aren't always going to come back into play. And this isn't his daughter anyway. She's a foul-mouthed little brat who can't even accept a meal without being mean.
You know, if you had a non-carbonated beverage, Tundra Walker says. Well, we lost Attack on Show, but we got Tundra Walker, so.
So, a 100% loss. Great.
Oh, Doug! Tundra Walker's going to be on the show one day. He's going to reach through the screen and punch you.
He's old. I don't think he could even throw a punch anymore.
Old like Joel in this episode?
Yes. Just like me.
I'm getting old, and I'm deaf. Tommy, I need you to take her. I don't want the responsibility is really what I'm getting at. It's way too much. I like this town, and I want to stay here, and you go and you do the thing. I'm really enjoying this food.
You know,
And they have a bar.
And you can tell it was better booze than what he had in his flask.
It was Joel's whole goal, that rhymed, to find Tommy. And now that he's there, you know, of course he wanted to do that one last step because he promised he would. But was that where he would plan on staying the rest of his life with his brother, you think?
I don't know. I don't know what his plan would have been otherwise. Like, I mean, because they don't allude to what his thought process is or what his plan is really in the show or the game, except for that brief little moment where Ellie is talking to him and says, you know, so if you deliver me to the Fireflies, like, what are you going to do? And you can tell he hasn't really thought that far. And maybe in a post-apocalyptic, you know, fungus world, or I'm sorry, Tundra Walker vampire world, maybe it's not healthy to think like about the future. You got to take it day by day.
And I think that's how Joel's character has always been. He just flies by. Oh, time's up. You know, he just really does. He's always just sort of done things day by day. He doesn't take long-term plans outside of getting to his brother. Like, once his brother stopped, you know, answering the radio messages, you know, then all of a sudden, I have to, you know, get a battery and get stuff together and head out there.
God damn it, Tundra Walker.
He's not.
Just
I hate that you are. I hate that you are right in this one instance. One mistake.
Now, and Tundra Walker asked how his flask is still full. He probably has another bottle stashed somewhere in one of his packs. And then, like Dave said, as they're making their way, because I was pretty shocked that they traveled 3 months with nothing really that exciting happened to them.
Were they making their way downtown, walking fast?
Making their way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure could help a lot.
Those references more accurate. They're not hanging out in Boston. They're going 1,000 miles.
But that was Cheers. Everybody knows
Cheers. That was
too.
in Boston, and it was about being sad and drinking at a bar because your third fiance wasn't there.
But Doug would walk 500 miles, and then he'd walk 500 more.
Yeah.
Tundra Walker is wanting the one voice rule revoked. We will submit it to the council, and we'll let you know what the response was.
The Council of Nerds.
Yes.
I love democracy.
I was thinking about that 3-month travel and where they were in the United States, and we know it's not a very populated area, so it made sense. But then I was thinking, where are they going next? That map showed it looks like the Fireflies moved to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
That's a pretty populous city. I am looking forward, because we have 3 episodes left. Well, it was when the pandemic hit, so you got to assume there's going to be tons of fungal vampires all throughout Salt Lake City.
Fungal Mormon vampires.
That's right. They have multiple wives.
Or wives.
And
But don't worry, they won't bite you because, it's against their religion.
But I think it's going...
His boots were pretty effed up. He got some new boots.
Would you say that those boots were made for walking?
That's just what they'll do.
And one of these days, these boots, they're going to walk all over you.
Doom, 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 doom.
Oh, well, why is our viewer count dropping?
Oh, we got an Emperor Palpatine.
Good. I'm glad we got an Emperor Palpatine.
But
Start the time.
yes, I did. I wonder if the Fireflies, and once again, I haven't played the game, so I don't know any spoilers. I wonder if they moved to Salt Lake City to kind of try to help figure out a cure. And they're already working on something, or think they have something. And when Elle shows up, it might be the final piece, that helps them, figure out how to solve this. Now, obviously, we know there's a second game. I don't know if at the end of the second game, everything's cured and stuff, but...
Well, have you ever heard the story of Dark Firefly the Wise?
No, I have not.
You see, it's a tragic tale. Ironic, really. He thought that he could stop time, but in fact, he couldn't. However that line goes. No, in the game, they used their anger, their hate, and they recorded several messages that you have to find in the game, and it's a fetch quest. They don't have an easy peasy map with pins, Anakin. Now rise, my...
Annie, are you okay?
Rise and read the map.
You sound like Bane without a CPAP. Or I wonder if the Fireflies are...
Walker, good. Yes, I feel your hate. Use your anger, Tundra Walker. Spend your infinity gems. Strike me down.
Will you become more powerful?
Yes.
Good.
But now, my other thought of why the Fireflies maybe went to Salt Lake City, if there is a large populace of these fungal zombies, maybe they have a way of destroying them too, or getting at the hive mind, and they've gone there to, maybe they're clearing out cities on their way, because we saw a bunch of pins on the map, and I was like, okay, why? It looks like multiple groups of Fireflies are all going to meet in Salt Lake City, and I don't know if they're cleaning out cities as they go and then trying to start like a new civilization, or not a civilization, I guess that's a bad choice of words, like a new commune there with more people and get more things together and start trying to build back society, or really what's going on. And I think that's why I'm enjoying this show so much. I have no idea what's going to happen. Joel, even though his character makes sense, I'm so shocked by just how angry and mean he is to everybody he meets. That's against almost everything I stand for, but I understand why he's doing it with what he's lost, and you really can't trust anybody. If I was playing the game, I'd be shooting first before asking questions with anyone I came upon. But for me, they do such.
Should, Keith. Shoot now. Do it. Do it.
Shoot now. Look for a cliff to fall off later.
That's how I play it. Can you fall off cliffs in The Last of Us?
Joel was clearly a vampire. No.
We haven't seen any vampires in this show yet. But
No, but plenty have fallen to the dark side of the Force.
the only thing I can imagine is Joel's going to be bit sometime in season 2, and he's going to turn into a zombie, a fungal zombie, and Ellie's going to be like, "We've got to save Joel! Take my blood! Take it out right now!" And scientists will be doing it, and they'll be at the last minute right before Joel's about to break out and murder everybody as a fungal zombie. They'll give him the injection, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, thank you, Elle. I'm going to adopt you now. You're going to be my new daughter," and they're going to saunter off into the distance as a family.
Well, if they want to have a continuous show, if they want to have anything beyond season 3, there's no way they can find a cure next season. Yeah.
Now, I wonder if they'll do it's successful. This show has been getting really great ratings. The viewership has been going up every week. I hope if they have a story that only takes 3 seasons, they don't get talked into doing more seasons just because it's popular. A lot of times, especially American television shows, they'll be like, "We have 4 seasons worth of stories we want to tell." And Emperor, you're done. And they'll say,
before I conclude, just one last thing as the Emperor, I will say this about the potential for season 2: only 2 there can be a master and an apprentice.
Yeah, I agree. Let the story dictate the length. You know what? And I have to admit, my favorite TV show, Find the Button, Keith, Smallville. They had only originally planned for 6 seasons. That's why Michael Rosenbaum, he only signed on for season 7 after season 6 ended, and then he wasn't on the show anymore because he didn't want to do it anymore. They only had planned out for 6 seasons, and that's why season 7 stumbled out of the gate, and season 8 was not so great. It took them a couple of seasons to recover, and that was a case of the show being so popular that they kept going even beyond the story that they had written.
Yeah,
and it can be done okay. I'm sure there's been shows that have went on longer and they've gotten good things, but it seems like the majority of the time, if they start trying to stretch it out, that's when you jump the shark. Yeah. And I don't want to see that happen to the show because I am really enjoying it. Okay, hey, Tundra Walker, once again, this blasphemy talking about pavement tickets, who, if you're going to talk bad about the greatest rock band of the 90s, we're going to have problems. Go watch the Austin City Limits from 2 weeks ago where Pavement was on it, and you will be like, "Oh my God, I have been wrong all this time." They are tremendous. They are absolutely tremendous.
Oh, they're absolutely.
Oh, and now Tundra Walker's quoting Hack Snyder.
So I'll say this because, again, I don't really know what direction I got to go into. You gentlemen you're hitting the nail on the head. If they do want to keep this thing going, I think they're going to have to take some liberties, like with Game of Thrones, the way that in a lot of areas it had to deviate from the source material, and they had to kind of move things around. And they've already done that a little bit with this show. There are a couple of things that, if you're playing the games, you wouldn't have found out until you were playing part 2, that they've already referenced a couple of times in this season. So you can tell that they're sort of picking a few pieces from here and there. And I don't know if they're going to completely follow the story as it is in part 2 of the game, because I don't know if you gentlemen have looked up any of this online, but
I've been trying to stay away from it.
It is one of the most divisive of the series. Like, it's split right down the middle of people who defend it and say it's good, and people who are like, this is the worst thing that was ever made, and they should have never made part 2.
What is the, without going into too much detail, what's the, like, is it game mechanics or is it the story that people are?
It's a story.
Okay.
And the only thing that I will say about this, again, no spoilers, the story itself, you switch, so I guess it's kind of game mechanics too. You switch between 2 different sets of characters, and it's like you're following for like hours this one set of characters, and then all of a sudden you switch to a completely different set, and then you got to follow their story, and it's a little weird to play a game that way.
Yeah, I can see where I might not like that either.
If you're like building up a character and you've got these skills and got these weapons, and all of a sudden, okay, now you're gonna use this character, and you've not used them at all. You don't know what their skill set is. It's like, God, I've got to learn all the controls again. This is stupid.
And well, Fatherly Phantom says some people won't even watch it because of part 2. That's too bad. They're missing out on a great show. Joel does never hold up his hand and die in a tornado because.
They're tag teaming the Man of Steel here. He stands under an overpass.
Well, Ellie stands under an overpass.
Great. Tundra Walker has a new friend.
I think Tundra Walker is the real.
Hey, don't eat me cows here.
Hey, don't eat me cows. But yeah, Tundra Walker is the real vampire here. He's biting all of the other people in the chat and turning them into one of him.
He's already got an ally on the show. So.
Well, look, we don't talk about what Tundra Walker and Keith do behind closed doors, okay?
Oh, I was talking about me. I was ally. He seems to agree more with me than he does with Keith.
Then we won't talk about what you and him do behind closed doors.
Whoa.
The only thing that I think you wouldn't agree on with him, Dave, is, he's a huge Packer fan like me.
Yeah, no.
Also,
next year when Aaron Rodgers isn't there, I'll start liking the Packers.
He likes the Daredevil movie, so.
Oh yeah, I don't like that.
Now, to defend, he says the director's cut is much better of Daredevil, and I've never seen it, so I promised him I would watch it. And you have seen the director's cut?
Yeah, it's not better.
Is there a scene where he says, "Why did you say that name?"
Oh my gosh, there is.
Just wait till Ben Affleck as Daredevil shows up in Secret Wars. And Charlie Cox just beats the living crap out of him. And it'll be like a bigger cheer than when Captain America grabbed Mjolnir. The crowds are going to go wild.
That might be the only good part in that entire movie was the fight towards the end with Daredevil versus Kingpin. That was really well choreographed, in my opinion. I loved them showing Kingpin's true brute strength. I think I included a couple of clips from that in our Kingpin In Focus video, which you can find on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, ring the bell.
There it is.
But yeah, that was the entire movie. Not great, but that scene, just showing both of their skill sets, showing Kingpin being strong, not being a tub of lard, and then showing Daredevil using his surroundings and being able to listen for him.
And Tundra Walker says, I don't think Ben has the DD physique anymore. As long as you're not saying Dunkin' Donuts, you're right. And yes, Charlie Cox is and always will be is the perfect Daredevil. Yeah. Even, he does such a great job. Even, I know Dave's not a big fan of the She-Hulk, but he played Daredevil a little different in She-Hulk, and it still worked. He still got the core character down. He was a little less serious in this.
That was the best part of that show, was Daredevil.
And he still nailed it.
Yeah.
So Charlie Cox, I'm so glad. And we're getting 18 episodes of Daredevil Born Again at some point. God, I cannot wait for that. That's going to be awesome.
Now, my question on Tangent Time, are they putting those all in a row, or are they going to do it in sections?
What do you mean?
Like 9 here, then 6 months off, 9 there, or are they going to put 18 in a row?
They haven't officially announced it yet, but according season 1 is 18 episodes, and we should get them within an 18-week span. But the
Nice.
thing it did say is, like, each week is going to be like almost its own story, almost that it has its
Okay.
own story per episode, and it has an overarching throughout the 18 episodes. So, you know, hopefully it's good. Hopefully we get like a bunch of villains, because that'd be nice to see him taking on,
So
sub villains in certain points, and have the overarching, which hopefully is the Kingpin, obviously.
that will definitely be a different way to go about it, since most of the other MCU shows have been one long continuous story, save for She-Hulk. That was the only where it was like each episode was kind of a one-off. But yeah, most of the other MCU shows have been like a long movie, basically.
And yes, I do mean like Stiltman. And maybe we get the owl, and we get Bullseye scattered here and there, and there's a lot of Daredevil villains that I think would do one episode here and there, seeing them. I think that'd be fantastic.
And follow the fandom, yeah, if they did it sort of like a Bad Batch where you've got two every now and again, if it serves the story, yeah, like when they do it for the Bad Batch where they've got two episodes that really should have just been one long one, and then yeah, it makes total sense.
And don't forget to hit us up at Twitter, leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.